of that. The society that we live in right now, in areas that have a beautiful skyline and condominiums like this, are actually somewhat insulated, literally. It's cold this morning here, and there's a storm approaching. We don't know what the magnitude of the storm will actually be out here. We're not sure. What I wanted to simply bring your attention to is that the collapse of society as we know it is imminent. That may sound a bit dramatic and, oh, you're getting carried away. I'd like you to consider some things. We've got a really cold temperature right here in South Carolina. In the 80s, we had a foot of snow on the beach out here. And this area is not prepared for a quick recovery on a major snowfall. They're just not. We wait for it to melt. What happens if it doesn't melt right away? What happens if the power grid goes down because of that? Richie from Boston last week was doing a live broadcast from his mobile broadcast studio up the way a little bit, a few hours away, and the power was out there. What happens if it doesn't come back on? That's what I want you to think about. What'll you do? This is going to be a little bit longer of a broadcast because I'm going to cover some what I believe are very important things. I'm probably going to be stepping inside. It's in the low 20s out here right now. Out of the wind a little bit. I'm going to flip this around so you can see a dynamic. There's the window, of course, and the sliding glass doors. We can see the shadows appearing because the sun is approaching. That's part of the dynamic with all this too, is what is the setting, what is going on, how well aware are you of what's happening? And that's a rhetorical question that I want you to consider. Do you think the bulldozer drivers that are down there right now would be here if the power was out at their home with their wife and children and animals risking freezing to death? I don't think so. So that's part of what I want to bring up to you. There's that interesting effect. Now I want to show you something. I'm going to turn the light on in there and I just want you to see what happens. Yeah, what a difference a little lighting makes, isn't it? So it turned a mirror into a window, or vice versa. You can get the idea there. I'm going to flip that off. The people that stayed here this past week, probably a wonderful couple, family, and when I walk in, it's got a fragrance that I wanted to freshen up, let's say. It's been cold here, people keep it closed up. Well, I'm the guy that is very conscious of indoor air quality. So there was like a 15-mile-an-hour breeze. I open up all the windows for 15 minutes. The heater in there that has electricity and natural gas to operate is heating that place up quick. 15 minutes after the temperature was dropped down from 70 down to about 45, warms it up just like that. The thermal mass of all the furniture and all the items in there, the concrete, that's the other thing. This is a concrete box, basically, is what this is here. And what I was able to understand in a short time was simply that on my way in, the lights were on, it was all good. Now, a little more than a year ago, we had a hurricane that hit, Hurricane Matthew. It moved a lot of sand around, okay? Not only that, the lights were out for a while, a good bit of time. The day that we got the power turned back on where we live, and I've got photos of it, wires bouncing off of the road, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, sparks flying all over, cars freaking out, smashing into each other. Well, the lights were out in a lot of places, but the day we were told it was going to come, or that it was going to be off for 2 weeks, it turned back on. They were able to restore the power grid. What I want to help draw your attention to is I'm not too poor to pay attention. I used to be riding dirty all over the place, having illegal drugs on me. Marijuana was the drug of choice for me to offset the addiction that was accentuated because of antipsychotic medication to block the pleasure receptor. I know a little bit about pharmacology. You can look at my liked video playlist, and what you're going to find is that I've watched those videos and I've got an excellent memory and the ability to retrieve and articulate a lot of information. To people that are unaware of this type of thing, it sounds crazy. Yeah, I think I'll probably be going inside soon. Let me show you what's happening. Okay, that hump of sand right there took a lot of dump trucks to drop in there, and I watched it happening a bit. From out there, they were able to actually suction up sand and place it on the beach with the beach renourishment process. Roughly 1,500 dump truck loads of sand in less than an hour. And that was 40% of the mix of what came up on the beach. 60% of what came up here was water, and then it just goes back out to the ocean. It cost, I believe, close to $20 million to do that, the beach renourishment. I've got it on my timeline and on Facebook and some YouTube videos. It's in God's Word category of playlists, and I broadcast the Bible live, and you can see equipment operating. Yeah, when the backup beepers start running a lot, I'm gonna be moving in. You know, the wind, I'm out of the wind right here. When I walked out of the door this morning to come to the shoot here to do this broadcast, I could smell the fragrance of cardboard. Well, what that means is that the wind was coming from this direction, down there where Georgetown is. So you could look at it on a map. Georgetown has International Paper, I believe it is now. These companies sometimes change names, but anyway, I could smell the fragrance of cardboard. When we lived in Wisconsin, I remember it as a young child. Brings back a lot of memories. Well, when I walk out the door and I smell cardboard, I know that the wind has been blowing sufficiently from that direction to bring the fragrance of the sulfur process of the cardboard. What does that matter? Well, it may come into play if there was a toxic release of chemicals somewhere. You would want to know. I'm not all doom and gloom and freaked out and stuff. If there was an industrial accident down there that had toxic stuff blowing up this way, I would want to stay in the house and have all the windows shut. I wouldn't be opening them up like I did just now. When you think about it, in a concrete box like that with glass, how often does the air get changed over? Does cracking a window get the job done? No, it doesn't. I opened it up and it's like blowing through a straw. It just blows right through. This direction over here is the marsh, the wetland. Oh wow, this is looking really pretty over here. I'm gonna have it in this direction for a while, and I'm actually gonna grab the P900 and zoom in on some of that for you. Hang tight. It's interesting, they've got to have the backup beepers by law, but a person would have a hard time getting anywhere near that equipment with the security that's around it, but that's just the way it is. Okay, power on, here we go. Okay, so what you're actually looking at out here is sea level. This is Cherry Grove, South Carolina, and you can check that out if you care to. The Prince Pier Resort that is right over here, that pier right there is the Prince Pier Resort pier. You can go there and operate the camera on the end of the pier from a remote location, an internet location. You just go to the Prince Pier Resort in Cherry Grove, South Carolina, and you'll be able to operate it or watch somebody else that does. Interestingly enough, the moon is setting right now, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get a shot of it. I'm going to step out the front door and see if I can get that. What I can do is leave this play. I'm going to take a picture of it and bring it right back. It's on the other side of the building. So the moon is a bit more elusive than the sun, and I'm going to pan on over here and show you that this is Myrtle Beach here. Georgetown is over in this area, and the moon is setting right over there. I can't get it from this vantage point. So what I am going to do is take us inside. This is one of my favorite locations here simply because we have a nice view of the sunrise, and it's warmer. One of the things that I've been saying lately, and you can look at my timeline if you care to and see that I've been pretty much talking about the fact that the water exposes the global lie. I'm dead serious about that. It's a simple statement any of us can make, and you don't need to be a scientist to say that statement. You can tell them to research it. If you want to use some terminology, I'll lay some out for you. The physics and property of water, hydrodynamics. How about the hydrologic cycle? The evaporation, condensation, and precipitation in the form of fog, frost, rain, snow, sleet, hail. Hello, yeah. You know, it can be a bit daunting sometimes trying to reach out to people that are very arrogant, and their short answer is, "You're stupid." I get that. I get that from people on on some threads that I weigh in on. When I drop the water exposes the global lie, they don't like that. I got banned from a flat earth versus sphere group because of that, and an interaction with an angry atheist that may be watching this right now. He blocked me from his personal account as well. And I didn't, you know what? It's his prerogative. I tried calling him, and he wouldn't pick up. He said, I don't watch your videos, I don't listen to your messages, and I don't watch YouTube. It's like, next. Okay, if somebody isn't gonna explore the information, oh well, next. Let's see what happens with, if the lighting's better with this going back on. What's interesting about the lighting there is that it's on a dimmer, so the light can be adjusted. It also affects the fan speed. Seems a little bright. I'm going to tone it down a little bit. So what does it matter if the collapse is imminent? How does that work? Well, what I want to see is, there it is. My watch when I move over a little bit, it kind of affects the lighting there. Step out of the way. That's one of the reasons why I use the monitor to do this. I want to see what I'm looking like to the audience. So if you knew that there wasn't going to be any power for who knows how long, what would you do? Would you skip a shower? Would you leave dirty dishes in the sink? Would you leave dirty clothes pile up? Would you have your car on empty? No, none of that. So I'm not all panicked and freaked out. I'm simply living a life that's very deliberate, and I have for a long time. Well, yeah, I would say quite a bit of time, very deliberate. And part of the dynamic is I was deceived. And by irony and paradox, the deceived are unaware that they're deceived. I've got a buzz coming from that fan. Not only that, I dropped the thermostat down. Good morning. I dropped the thermostat down below the temperature it actually is in here, so it's going to get quite a bit quieter. The heavy equipment and waves, all that's still going on out there. Won't be able to hear much of that in here. This is thermal pane glass. It's really heavy duty. It's laminated in such a way that it can handle winds over approaching 200 miles an hour probably. They have to be rated for that kind of thing here. So when I was talking about the collapse is imminent, I believe artificial intelligence is online, has been online for quite some time. What they have is what's called predictive programming. So when we see a show like The Terminator, I'll be back. Yeah, Arnold, and they're talking about Skynet. As far as I understand, there is an actual Skynet. There is actual quantum computing and massive computers that don't need people to say, hey, I'm not going to turn the power grid off. The artificial intelligence that's monitoring this broadcast right now and playing me is what I'm saying right now is pay attention, because I'm schooling you. I'm schooling the artificial intelligence. We all actually are. They monitor all of our choices, our activity that they can digitally, and it's pervasive what can happen. So back to the hurricane for just a little bit. Over a year ago, the power was out, and I could tell that because none of the stuff worked in our house, and I wanted to go out for a drive. I went down Highway 31. It runs inland a little ways with a view of the coastline hotels. I can see a lot of the hotel activity or the hotels. And if the power is on, the lights are on. That's just the way it is around here. They keep it lit up nice. We get about we're expecting 20 million guests here this year. Wow, it's a lot of people. Do you think they'll be coming if the power grid is down? I don't think so. Later on, I'm going to talk to Frank Bolino. He's building a Super Bolino's travel mart, big enough for semis to come in, and well, semis come into almost all gas stations, of course, to refuel them, but it's going to be a travel plaza of sorts with so many people that come through here, and a lot of them are coming out from this area. They're going to want to fill up to head on home. And you know what? Quite frankly, Frank, as in Frank Bolino, quite frankly, Frank, I'd like for him to be able to fuel up and head on down the road if there's a serious problem here. A lot of people will probably do that. If the power grid went down and they got wind of it through cellular communications, like the cell towers have largely backup power systems, backup generators. I believe this building has a backup power system. A lot of hotels do. It's very important to have that. So depending on when the collapse occurs, where will I be? I could be in heaven. Don't know. I'm not sure. I can read Revelation and understand the revelation in the Bible and understand perilous times are coming, and I'm on the hit list. Oh well, nothing's going to happen to me that God doesn't cause or allow. Do you think He prepared me for such a time as this? Hello. Yeah, that's what you're looking at here. This isn't natural. This is supernatural. So back to Frank Bolino and the Super Travel Station. I'm going to talk to him, and I'm going to say, Frank, do you have a setup for me to be able to fuel my car up when the power grid goes down? And he's familiar with the power grid going down. And if he says, no, we're not going to do that, I'll say, well, you might want to consider it. I've got a lot of ideas I could help you with if you want to. I mean, he's a multimillionaire. He might think, who are you? You're the Bible.com guy? Yeah, they know me in this neighborhood. That's okay. That's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind being misunderstood. That's part of the dynamic that happens with the conspiracy theorists that I would be categorized as, crazy people. Remember, the truth sounds crazy to the deceived, and they don't know they're deceived. Have you ever seen somebody rescued out in the ocean? They're drowning. The lifeguard doesn't explain to them that they're going to have to pull them up and get them to safety. They just go out there with a big swimming board. It's a super big surfboard that keeps the lifeguard a little bit away from the rescuee. I've seen it happen. I actually called for it to happen and helped save some lives in this world, just because I was there and I knew what to do. I use this phone to call and get the rescuers in. That's another story. On this thing back with talking to Frank that owns the Bolino gas station and IGA and quite a bit of real estate in the area, what I will ask him is, would you consider, if you haven't already, are you going to implement a backup power system to dispense the fuel you're spending millions of dollars to provide? They don't build a travel mart like that so they can sell ho-hos, okay, and diet soda. No. They build systems like that to dispense thousands of dollars of fuel an hour. How many? I don't know, it's a lot. Go and fill up a vehicle that gets, you know, whatever miles per gallon. They've got big fuel tanks. It would be nice for those people that are visiting here to be able to have the fuel to leave, okay, because it would be nice to have that option. So when I say the collapse is imminent, I'm not kidding. It could have happened for a long time. It has been imminent. I'm totally convinced of that. Very peaceful. The lights are on. The heat is on. I turned it down a bit. It's still warming up in here. How is that? Well, the thermal mass of all the items in here. Let's flip that around. That's a concrete wall there. That's all concrete. There's my shadow over there. That means the sun is now at my back. Right over here is the marsh, and through there, if I go over by that door there, I'm probably going to lose the broadcast because the concrete walls make it very difficult for this to receive signal. Okay, so a lot of the buildings that have cell towers on them also have auxiliary power sources to be able to allow the patrons or the people nearby to get a signal. So when the collapse occurs, there's going to be, depending on how it happens, you know, I believe the cellular will be allowed to be up for a while. Here would be some clues that I would have you consider. Oh, by the way, if Frank says he doesn't want to have a backup generator, that's his prerogative. I'm going to be asking different fuel dispensing locations. I'm going to say, hey, did you know that the collapse of society is imminent, and you sell fuel? Do you want to be able to pump it out of the ground to give it to people or to sell it to people? Not only that, my credit card wouldn't work if the power were down in a broad sense. There's a verification that they use. I have to put in my zip code down here in the technology, the gas pump, and it's going to read that and see if it would most likely be me. You know, if I didn't know the zip code I was from, or that card was associated, I'd be out of luck. Now, keep in mind, people that steal purses and that know that kind of thing. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. I'm not that guy. I used to be a criminal. I'm not anymore. I used to steal, lie, cheat. And then when I was born again about 3 years ago on Reformation Day or Halloween, Jesus changed me. I've got the new nature. The new nature is his nature. So that's why when I say what might sound arrogantly, I'm schooling the artificial intelligence. We all are. We all are. Some people are teaching it how ugly humanity can be. I'm just the guy that gets a few hours of sleep in a day and does this kind of thing, whether it's producing a video like this, alerting you to this. Who's doing this? It's not like I watched a video and they were talking about it. I haven't heard anybody say what I'm talking about right now, that I believe the collapse is imminent, and it has been for quite some time because of artificial intelligence. I've seen slaughter bots. Oh yeah, that could maybe happen. Micro technology that allows some small autonomous robots to fly around in that. I'm going to leave you look at this while I go and take a couple shots out there. So I've got a battery I'm going to throw in so that my camera can continue to work. They're all charged up. That's a big deal, having batteries charged up. I'm going to take us back outside for a little bit. So now we've got the dump trucks running right on the beach. The tide evidently is coming in, looks like, and that's just the way that works. And they're building this up. Isn't it beautiful? Look at that. I'm going to flip this around so you get a better camera quality. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Now we can see through there. So part of the hydrologic cycle would be the condensation. This is just a gallon jug. If the top were off, the evaporation would have occurred. And just moving that a little bit. See, the water exposes the global line. It'll do this all day long. How does that work? Well, it just does. I don't need to know all the dynamics of how it works. I just simply know that the water seeks its level. I've got a lot of photographic and video proof to prove that, don't I? For those of you who know me. And that's what I've been doing, is linking my devices or my social media platforms. And so on my YouTube channel, if you go there, Eternal Perspective, you can see that on the right lower corner, you can click on the F and go to Facebook and get my personal contact information and call me if you want to, or not. There's a lot of videos there that I've found to be what I believe is a serious catalyst for consideration. Things that people, I believe, should know about. One of the termites of time that I had was television. I used to watch a lot of television. I don't have the appetite for it anymore. Why would I? It was such a waste of time, a lot of what I chose to watch. And keep in mind, it's all programming, including God's Word. Some would say, you're brainwashing yourself listening to the Bible so much. It's another fairy tale. Well, you might want to look a little bit harder into that, because what God's Word says is that we're basically all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. It's important to be born again. Unless a man is born again, he won't even see the kingdom of heaven. So like this type of equipment can actually, the waves, it was driving where the waves were coming up. It can handle that. Our passenger vehicles and that, not so much. They're not made out of stainless steel. So what I did earlier, and I can do it right now, it's now the lighting isn't quite so good, so it's not going to work real well. I can see buildings way down there, and I've got photographs of it on my timeline, on my photo album, eternalperspectivebible.com. These big dump trucks are having to go around a beach walkout, so they go right in the water a little bit. Pretty interesting, isn't it? The bulldozers are over $600,000 each, and they're really heavy. I would think a dump truck like that is pretty expensive too. You ever see a dump truck running on the beach? A lot of people haven't. Notice there's no curvature on that horizon. The water exposes the global lie. So for example, let's just look at this, and I'll point it out literally to you. Let's drop it all the way down. Okay. Now the distance from this corner to this corner, let's see, where do I need to put my finger? Right there. That's a big distance. Let's bring that up a little bit. I'm approximately 120 feet above sea level. So with optical limitations and camera limitations, what is the width of this? I'm not sure. When I asked Apple if they could tell me, they said, well, we've never had anybody ask us that question. I'm the guy. I'll ask them. I'll say, what is the width of that? From 100 feet up, what is the optical view from the axis? I believe it's the x-axis, the left to right, the horizon. What is that? It is funny. It's actually fun being me. I actually enjoy it. It's not a dull life at all. So if the power were out, the people might have stayed here. They were renting for the Christmas, New Year's Eve week. So for me to come up here and spend a little time to do this, it was very easy. This is one of our commercial cleaning accounts. We've got a commercial cleaning business to help pay for our to pay for our life. That's one of the ways that God provided. And I have other ways that I've earned money as well, including automotive, marine detailing, and independent contracting kind of situations as well. It's getting a bit gloomy out here and it's a bit chilly. I'm going to bring us back inside. So one of the dynamics is that the sun provides a lot of heat, of course. I'm going to explain a couple of things here too. I've got a video that quite a few of my friends are aware of because they became friends of mine because they saw the video. Oh, what a coincidence. And there ain't no coincidence about that at all. Because at any particular time in a 24-hour cycle, I might unfriend a deactivated account, click on the Sun in the Clouds video, and go to the people who love the video and add all of them as friends. I'll pretty typically want to do it. Well, I never know when people are going to be on. So I might delete a few deactivated accounts and just go and add friend as many times as possible. Now here's what can happen. I'll get a prompt from Facebook that says, you've got 1,000 outgoing friend requests. You can't send any more. So what do? I'll keep adding them. Now, I found out the first time I tried doing this, like it was one more friend request that I add, and it would say you've got 1,000 friends. So I tried it again. I'm persistent. Maybe you know that about me. Very persistent. Some call it stubborn. I prefer persistent, passionate and purposeful. Well, what I did last night was I handed out hundreds more friend requests after I was told I couldn't add anymore. So that's how I do it. That's one of the ways that I do this. Now, if you don't have a video that a lot of people are liking and commenting on, if you want to add friends, and what I do is I pick the kind of friends I want. I don't want a bunch of fake, phony, religious people that I originally started with. A lot of those people are gone. They decided, oh, Robert doesn't believe we went to the moon and the earth's flat, time to unfriend. Oh, I'll just block them. Get her done. Get her done right. So I disappear to them. To their loss, as far as I'm concerned. The shape of the earth, water is the clue. It exposes the global lie. Yeah, but it's round. Yeah, so's the bottom of this jug. So's a frisbee. The water, she's a flat. Undisturbed water is flat, and that's that. Okay? Not so much condensation forming right now, but the cool outside air out there will collect it more. People would make alcohol with a still. It's the same hydrologic principle. Apply heat causes evaporation, a cool outside causes condensation, and there you go. And then you get precipitation. It'll cling to the edge and run down. And where's the edge? Well, you know, if you go to Lake Michigan, let's say, you might say, where's the edge? Where's the edge of that? I don't believe it exists because I can't see the edge. I want to see pictures of the edge. We'll give people pictures of Antarctica. For gosh sakes, on the video that I've been sharing quite a bit, it's the 24/7 playlist. It's in my playlist. It's a live broadcast. It's a pretty long loop of maybe 5 hours that I can watch without it repeating itself. Very nice music in that. Well, anyway, and beautiful water, landscape, islands, oceans, mountains, waterfalls, all of that's there. And then there's penguins. And the penguins aren't in an area where there's snow at that time. So where is that? Is it in Argentina? Is it close to the Arctic Circle? Maybe the Arctic Circle is a big circle around the outer edge. Well, what's the shape of it? Well, the water fills its container. That's what it does. It's on a need-to-know basis. I've got a Rand McNally map of the world. For people that say, oh, you flat earthers are crazy, your map is all wrong. I don't have a map that I'm all stuck to. The Rand McNally map has comparative sizes of continents that is about, I don't know, how accurate is it? How would I know? How would I know? I don't really need to know. I have driven from coast to coast, from South Carolina to Southern California, and I went, there was a missing curvature there. One of the things that I did, just so you know, if you're one of these real analytical people that wants real hard evidence and information, if you've got the time and the money and a vehicle that can do it, drive coast to coast. If you've got a vehicle that measures real-time fuel economy like I did, my diesel TDI Passat that I had chipped, it cost me about $1,000 to have a high-performance chip that doubled roughly the torque that the car had. It was a rocket ship. Off the line, it would blow away almost any car I ever got next to. And of course, because I have real good reaction time. That's another thing. So anyway, in 2,300 miles from coast to coast, there would be curvature. You can look at 8 inches per mile squared. I've got on a lot of my photos, in my photo album, I'll have the curvature calculator. If you want to look it up right now, curvature.com, I believe it is. Curvature.com. In 2,300 miles, there would be 650 miles of curvature. It's not there. I believe it would be maybe 325 miles high at the apex in the middle. I believe that's how it works. I'm not exactly sure. But however, if it were 100, 300, 600, or whatever, it's not there. Because I averaged from coast to coast 55 miles per the gallon about 7 years ago. My GPS ground positioning system gave me an accurate destination time and miles traveled as I edited out my stopping time. I kept track of it. When I would pull over and sleep for a little bit, I would deduct the time. It was very accurate. So are they using nautical miles on the land? Is everything set up like that? I don't know. I don't really need to know. I just know that it worked. So when I got to the mountains, the Smoky Mountains or the Rocky Mountains, my fuel economy would drop into 12, 13, 14 miles to the gallon, and then I would get up to the top of the mountain and I'd put her in neutral. I'd leave it running. I wanted to have my power steering pump and all that working, and I would just coast. And then the fuel economy reading would go over 100 miles an hour, and it wouldn't get any higher than that, even though, you know, I was going down the hill exceeding the speed limit. Yahoo, it was fun. Yeah, I don't think you can arrest me for that. I don't think I can be arrested for coasting exceeding the speed limit 7 years ago. I think I've reached past the whatever window there is for prosecution of that. I don't even know that my admission of that is any problem. What I'm simply saying is, to get that kind of fuel economy, I applied those techniques. So if somebody's saying you couldn't have done it, you couldn't have got that kind of fuel economy, I didn't want my engine and transmission working against my fuel economy as a engine brake. If you hear a truck that's using a Jake brake, they call it, an engine braking system, where they let the clutch slow the whole vehicle down. The engines slow the vehicle down. They've got a certain sound to it. That wasn't a very good Jake brake sound. I didn't come prepared with that today. Right now we've got a bunch of gray. It's just what happens sometimes. It's a lot of diffused lighting. The sun apparently is right there. Okay, you can look at the timeline, you can check it all out. If the earth is really, have you ever heard this one? If the earth is really flat, why isn't it light all the time everywhere? Look at that. Look at what I showed you earlier this morning. It was pretty dark out there, I think. I'll have to see when I actually fired it up. But I've been out here and started from this location, this particular condo. It would be pitch black outside, and inside I had the lights out for a little bit, showing you a wind chime hanging from the curtain rod up there. How would a wind chime work upside down? How would a shower, taking a shower, how would that work upside down? Flushing a toilet. Well, you know what? I've got a treat for you. Let's do this. Let's just flip this around, and let's see. I don't want to lose my broadcast or drop anything here. So I'm going to flip this around. Okay, so keep in mind the water is the clue. The water exposes the global light. Let's line this up. Look at the railing. Okay, and now we'll tip this down. Look at the horizon. Okay, and now I'm going to show you some more water. It's just what it does. It's nice when that works. All it is water seeking its level. Here we've got a water closet. Let's show you how this works. Some of you may know, no movement there, it's nice and flat. Some people say, well, I can tell that the earth's spinning because of the way the water spins in the toilet. Hello, you've got some research. You've got some research to do if that's your idea of that. Okay, here we go. Little ripples I'm making right there. Here we go. Woohoo! Oh, we must be on a globe and went to the moon because of the way my toilet spins. Hello. Yeah, we don't have a force called gravity stopping toilet water from flying out on people in Australia. So when you're taking a shower, using the restroom facilities, just imagine how in the world would that actually work if we were on a globe, upside down. Now, that right there is buoyancy, the little bulb on the end, and it'll shut that valve off. It's just what it does. I wonder if it'll do it again. Okay, here's the thing. We can believe it'll do it again, and then we can know it did it again. I believe it's going to work. What do you think? Let's check it out. Okay, still working. The gratuitous selfie there, yeah. A selfie with purpose. So people come here to spend quality time with friends and family, and we've done that. We've stayed here as well. It's one of the privileges. So I don't pay the taxes on this. I'm not damaging anything here. We clean this as part of our income, and I've got keys. I've got keys that allow me access, which is nice. And what I'm trying to give you would be keys to have access to some really important information. And I'm doing it, and I'm not asking you for any money. I'm not selling anything. And it comes at my own personal expense. Why would I do that? Well, quite frankly, it's because I care. What are you going to do with that? Yeah, oh, I'm a crazy guy? Some people might watch this and say, Robert, you're a crazy guy. Well, crazy like a fox, maybe. I don't know. I'm leveraging social media to share God's word to the ends of the earth around the clock for eternal purposes. So I'm going to take us onto the other side here. Take a look at the straight away. Okay, the tide is obviously coming in. We can see that because it's getting closer and closer. At every 6 1/4 hours, it comes in and then goes out. And it'll do that. It doesn't do it the same time every day. It's continually changing. And if you want to leave comments, that's totally cool when the broadcast is done. I don't believe you can leave a comment. I can't really, I don't know that I can go through and see the chat, what happened when the broadcast ends. And well, I'm just kind of on a mission here. Let's see if I can show you this. This is the title area, and if I go any further out, I'm probably going to lose my broadcast. So on a deal like this, it's a colder day, so like my coat is involved, this one right here, and because of what I'm doing, I had my keys in the pocket. When I went out there earlier, I made sure I had my keys in my pants pocket so I didn't lock myself out. So I'm not too poor to pay attention. That's one of the things that I'm wanting to continually have you consider is that it doesn't necessarily take a lot of money to pay attention and do things in a way that makes sense and may have quite a value in them. So, like, for example, let me just make sure this is nice and tight. Whoops. Okay. So that's just sitting on the counter there. And what I would like to draw your attention to is the symmetry of the horizon and the structure of the building. Okay. And once again, we've got the clues. Okay. This is when you're making coffee, just think about it, okay? The day-to-day stuff. So when this gets filled up with water and gets poured out, that'll all work like that. When we make our coffee, that's one of the examples. It's a higher weight distribution. The liquid is seeking its level. Just like when I showed you the toilet flushing, it's the same dynamic with the coffee pot over here. So we pour the water up above, flip it on, and then because of the heating process and however they design it, it actually causes the water to circulate. Pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty nice feature. One of the things I'd like to draw your attention to is before they had the flow-through coffee bag, it was like an individual serving size or a disc that had coffee inside of a filter. I came up with that idea in the early 80s. Folgers patented it about 40 or 14 years after that. I didn't cash in on that. Oh well, for years I regretted that. I thought, wow, what would my life be like if I would have done that? How about if I made millions and billions of dollars like, you know, Elon Musk or Bill Gates? How about that? I wouldn't trade places with them. Do you buy that? I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. I wouldn't want to have what is apparently a doomed perspective where they're going to end up for eternity. I don't know that they're children of God. I don't believe so. It's not looking too good for them. So that's part of the dynamic here is what will we do for eternity? What will our perspective be forever? How about that? What will that be? So that's why for quite some time now I've been talking about the eternal perspective. See, when they're doing that, it's really not a big deal. The backup beeper is what is rated at over 128 decibels, I believe. And part of the development of my process of videography and broadcasting the Bible live had to do with backup beepers like that, but they were on equipment that was working on buildings like this, like a high lift that would reach up to the upper floors in that so they could work on them. Well, I was a half a mile away from them and they were interrupting the sound of my broadcast with the Bible, with the audio Bible. So I found the iRig 2 at a guitar store. It allowed me to link my devices together without the interference of outside noise. So I could be talking like this and I wouldn't, and I could be right next to the broadcast and people wouldn't hear it. So I actually do quite often meet people while I'm broadcasting. The the Gospel of John to the book of Revelation is 11 hours and 55 minutes long, I think. And it's beautiful. You can see the tide coming and going, the sun rising and setting. It's all really nice. You can see when it was too. Now in the summer, when the daylight time and nighttime is split right about down in the middle, the sun would come up way over there on the other side of the building, and now it came up way over here from this vantage point. And the moon sat way over here, or it was setting. I couldn't actually see it, but the projected time was right on target. So what happens is where the variance of where the sun and the moon appear and the course that they run above the face of the earth is why we have a different perspective of all this. It'd be like watching a runner running a race. It's kind of what the Bible talks about it's like. Now you see the guy is honking his horn and stopped the equipment because there's another guy walking there. He's got to just stop it. Oh, he looks like he's one of the people working with the crew. Yeah, that would most likely happen. I mean, your average beach walker isn't going to be able to be that close to that equipment unless they're a spotter, somebody actually working on the project. See how the water is filling in the tracks of the truck where it goes? And then when it gets over here, we'll probably see some of the water fly off of the tires. And that thing's only going a few miles an hour. I was fascinated with equipment for a long time, that and water. And see, the water will run right back in the tracks. It's basically seeking its level. That's what it does. So I've got videos with some of this where I was zoomed way in. I'm gonna show you something with this too. I've got a hot battery in here now, and I'm gonna show you, just like I'm gonna link it up tight to my wrist. Okay. Wow, that was pretty cool, huh? So what we've got out here would be millions of dollars of equipment that do this. So the water continually seeks its level. It's just what it does. We'll get some more sand flying off and water. How fast is that going? Not very fast. So what I'm going to do is take this on in and show you what this looks like in a mirror, so you can get an idea of what I'm doing. I've just got my tripod bracket, and then I hold my wrist up like that to this. That's just what I do. So it's one of the tools that I found actually works pretty good to be able to do this. Right here is where I had the wind chime hanging there. What you'll notice is the vertical. Let me back up a little bit and show you the vertical of the architecture and the horizontal of the horizon. It's just what it does. It's designed that way. And then we've got angular type of structure as well, the architecture here, and how that all is. So one of the things that I used to do was I used to be a procrastinator. No, not anymore. Yeah, some people have New Year's resolutions. What I endeavor to do better every, not like I wait to go to sleep and then wake up and say, I'm going to try harder tomorrow. I try to do better all the time. Yeah, even right now as I do this, I want to do better and better. The Ninja, this is what liquefied the nutrients that I'm about to tell you about. If it seems like I've got a lot of energy and I'm all hopped up, well, I'm actually in really good shape, even though I've got a few extra pounds on me. That's intentional. I don't have a weight loss program for the new year. Yeah, not at all. Here, let's since I'm talking about that, let's do this. And some will say, oh, let me put this where I can show you a little bit better. Let's see, where do I need to be? I've got a few extra pounds on my waist. That's what I got going on here. But that's okay. It's highly nutrient-rich fat that's on me, a little bit. I do know what it's like to go without food for more than a week. And the first couple of days are a little awkward. Water helps. And what I would simply say is, I know what it's like to be hungry and ignore that hunger and actually just seek the Lord more. That would be part of the purpose of a fast. And I'm not telling you so that you'll think, well, I'm telling you because it's important to know. Now, see, this is connected. Now it's activated. Difference, huh? There's power here. Typically, all my power supplies are powered up. This has 20,000 milliamps. They were $39 at Walmart. When they dropped down to $25, I bought all of them that they had left. They don't get them anymore like this. Works for me. In my These two containers look identical. One of them has the vacuum broken. It got dropped, and yeah, I dropped it, and it broke the seal. So when I put hot coffee in here, the one that's warm on the outside is the one that's ready to drink right away. So that's what happens. Atmosphere, the more humidity that's in the air, the more conductive it is. This is a thermopane. That's a thermopane glass, 2 layers of glass, typically with an inert gas like argon or krypton that reduces, and it's very dry, so it doesn't sweat like this does. Okay, the water in here was on the stove for a little while, just warming it up. And now look at the condensation. See? And then it goes away. It just goes right back in. The hydrologic cycle of our world, why does this matter? I'm telling you, I'm one of these people that I would ask my dad why? Why? When I was a little boy. And bless his heart, he would take the time to explain a lot of things to me. So I learned a lot of how things work. Now, in the spiritual consideration, we went to Catholic church. I'm not Catholic. My dad was Catholic, my mother was Lutheran. We went to church for a while. I didn't like it. I didn't like it then, I don't like it now. A lot of religious fakery going on. So what I would simply say is, I love to hear, share, and obey God's word. Right now, Jesus has a mission for me that involves meeting people that are very reflective out on the beach and in society when a whole bunch of people are gathering to go to church and do other stuff. So what I do is do this worldwide ministry leveraging the platforms of social media for the Great Commission, exposing the truth. What are you going to do with the truth when it's in front of you? Are you going to recognize it? That's the challenge. That's why I say people believe a lot of things. I just prefer the truth. I have a love for the truth. God gave me that love for the truth before I was actually born again. It might have been just very shortly before I was actually born again. I thought I was over 30 years ago until I actually was about 3 years ago on Reformation Day or Halloween. So I'm going to get to my smoothie. Here's what's in this one. And when I bring the raw materials home like I did from Costco yesterday, I put the spinach in the freezer, the broccoli and all that. And then actually when I spin it and it spins at over 3,700, there's the spinach, because it's frozen, it turns it into a powder. This may not sound good to you, but it tastes great, okay? Because here's what's in it. Spinach, kale, chia seed, hemp hearts, prunes, raisins, craisins, purified water, honey, apple cider vinegar, mixed berries, apple sauce, apple cider. I know I mentioned the apple cider vinegar, both of those. And then lemons, like a whole lemon in a quantity of this. I scrub the outside of it, cut it in, I quarter it, throw it in here, peel and all. What I mentioned that's in here has a lot of natural fiber to cleanse the gastrointestinal tract. The physiology of me works really well. I can absorb the nutrients really effectively. No matter how nutrient dense what's in the store is, when I put it in the cart, it doesn't happen. When I put it in my refrigerator, it doesn't happen. When it hits my body and my body can actually absorb it, there you go. That's the deal. So when I open this up and I show you the consistency of it, it's very easy to drink. I'm gonna have some right now. Man, all that talking about it, I just gotta have some. awesome. Tastes like lemons and more. Then I've got the coconut oil emulsified in my coffee. So what I'll do is I'll shake that up. Otherwise it like floats to the top. But I can't show you really what it looks like, and I'm not going to get a glass. I'm just going to, it's kind of a milky color to it. So when I make my coffee, I can make it anywhere in a 24-hour time period. This coffee was made about a day ago and it's still warm and nice. This is about half full. We can tell by the lighting. The shadow, what I did is drank it about halfway down. When I put my coffee in here to emulsify it, if I filled it all the way to the top, it would almost hydrolock. It just doesn't work as well. I actually fill my coffee up to about here with the coconut oil in it to create an emulsion. It actually adds oxygen and atmosphere to shatter the bond of the medium chain fatty acid that organic coconut oil is. And it makes the delivery of the caffeine highly energetic, highly nutrient dense. There's in a half a gallon of coffee, I put it in a big tall thermos, a thermos. It's a half a gallon thermos. Got it from Walmart for like about $30. And it'll keep my coffee warm for a day or so. And what I'll have in a half a gallon of coffee that I made with my highly purified water, that's reverse osmosis, carbon filtered, and I put it in the sun when I can. I don't want other people's prescriptions in my water or whatever else chemicals. Sodium fluoride is unhealthy. Chlorine is healthy. It's good to kill bacteria. I just don't want to put it in my body. When I rinse off in the morning after I exfoliate with the gloves, my exfoliating gloves, I'll exfoliate my whole body. They've been sitting in baking soda purified water, about 1/4 cup of baking soda in purified water. I put them in there after every time I shower. So when they're sitting there in the shower, they don't get a funky smell on them. And they alkalinize the body. The alkalinity on the skin is really good because I spend a lot of time in the sun, and it's healthy to release lactic acid, which causes aches and pains. It releases it from my muscle tissue. I was a pro-level motocross racer. That doesn't happen by accident. I was very deliberate on that. So what I was going to say is the jug is completely full of water, full of atmosphere. And then it'll mix up again, and it'll just keep on doing that over and over and over and over, okay? Is there any tangible benefit of the water sitting in the sun? One of the things is a warmer temperature water actually assimilates better into the body. The highly aggressive purified water that is, doesn't have the chemicals of the plastics, the plasticizers that are, or the plastic molecules that are in water that's in plastic. If you taste warm water from a water bottle and it tastes a little like plastic, hello, you're drinking plastic chemicals. It's just what it is. You should know that. There's a lot of stuff that I'll talk about that people will say, oh, Captain Obvious, click, I'm going to scroll on by. Knock yourself out. You know what? Some people really like what I have to say, and I've had conversations with tech support for Apple Computer where we were talking 5 minutes of the business I needed to conduct, and at their continuing to ask questions, we were online or on the phone for 2 hours. Just because she wanted to know. I said, I've got a YouTube channel called Eternal Perspective. She said, can you tell me about it? I said, absolutely. I've got all the time that I need to do that. So I'm not spending the 5 to 10 hours a day watching TV. Now I go on the internet. I'm on Facebook quite a bit. I'm very selective on what I do. I might not get to liking and evaluating everybody's comments. I just don't have the time for that. And it gets really complicated too. It's like a digital schoolyard fight. So sometimes I'm going to give you some more of the background of how I do some of what I do. So I can hand out 100, I can subscribe to 100 YouTube channels in a day. When I do that, I'm unsubscribing to a different group of 100 YouTube channels because I can only subscribe, or you or anybody else as far as I know, to only 2,000 subscriptions. So if I was subscribed to you and you notice I'm unsubscribed, I'll get around to resubscribing. When I get a limit of like I've got maybe 2,000 subscribers, I'm not going to be able to keep subscribed to all those people, the 2,000, and add more to it because it's a continual rotation of it. So if I go on the ISS live feed like I did, and I got myself blocked from that because I said with all capital letters, bubbles in space, they kicked me out of there. What did I do? Well, I'm persistent. I've got passion, purpose, and perspective, eternal perspective. So I was watching what happened on the comments. Some people went and looked over at my YouTube channel. They started talking about flat Earth. Cool. You think it had anything to do with me? Hello. Yeah, of course. I'm paying attention. I'm watching that. So what did I do? I went and I started subscribing to some of these people that were curious about it. Some of them are subscribing to me still. Are they watching right now? Could be. That's cool. I hope they are. This is not so I can have a nicer life, more stuff, gourmet coffees. I make my own gourmet coffee. And you know, what's interesting is when we look around at humanity, we make a lot of choices. We typically do what we want to do in a lot of cases. Some people have a lot of discretionary time. I have a lot of discretionary time. When I'm earning money, I typically get paid very well for whatever I do. And God provides in some amazing ways. So this isn't a fundraising effort. I'm not telling you, oh, if I can get enough money, I'm going to go to Antarctica. You know, I've got videos that show it, or show a very icy area with penguins. It could be Antarctica, could be the North Pole. Heck, I don't know. I'm not sure. Wherever it is, it looks like there's really a lot of cold there and a lot of ice. Okay, so the sun and the moon move a course above the face of the earth. The short version in this is more sun, closer, warmer. Less sun further away and more moon, cooler. The moon puts off a cool light. I've tested it myself with an infrared thermometer you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever. When I shot the infrared beam on the sun or the moon light, it was cooler than the shade of the moon. And I'm not talking like it was on a sidewalk or something. A piece of cardboard that wouldn't have a thermal mass because it's got corrugated paper. So it would illustrate that really well. Now the tide keeps coming in, and these pieces of equipment are going to be riding in more and more water. It'll just keep on coming, and then it'll turn around and go back out. We've got, I believe it's a diurnal tide. I believe that's the term. A high tide, low tide, high tide, low tide. Yesterday we had 100% moon. I've got a friend in Australia, Stephen Sanders. She sent me a picture, tagged me in it, where the sun was like halfway apparently up. Well, what that is it's approaching, and that's what it was doing where he is. It'd be kind of like watching a parade on opposite sides of the street. When I've talked to him, I have no reason to distrust him. I trust him, trust and believe what he tells me. I haven't found any reason to not do that. When he tells me what time it is there and what the daylight is, it sounds like it's accurate to me. He used to work on generators in Antarctica. Either he did or he had a friend that did. I'm not sure which that is. I'll talk to him again about that. If you're a generator mechanic and you're working in an area that's the power supply, or you die, yeah, it takes a pretty thought out plan to be able to have a base, like a military base somewhere. They've got to really plan that out. A scientific research area. One of the things that I showed was some of the biggest road trains. There was a road train in South Africa moving a massive power generating system, and it had a lot of big trucks, and they had to go over mountains, and wherever they were setting this up, it was going to create a lot of power. Well, here's one of the things to keep in mind, is that power is a big deal. What kind of power do we have? Do we have, are we connected? Uh-oh, I'm not charging. That green light should have stayed on. I want to show you something. Now, there's more in saliva than just water. It's pretty amazing. It'll start dissolving carbohydrates. It's part of the digestive process, and I believe there's acid in it. What I want to do is make sure that I've got actual connectivity, and the light is still on, and my little electrical signal, the lightning bolt, was there, because a live broadcast with a fully charged phone lasts about an hour or so. With 20,000 milliamps, I can run about 11 hours. When these guys were out here doing the beach renourishment, it was my first day. Well, I was ready. I had batteries all charged up, because I'm normally always ready. And I broadcast 23 hours in that day, and none of it took. I don't know why. Did I get mad? No. I just got up and did it again. I think I've got to find out what the limitations are on the broadcast time. Is there a limit on how long I can do that? I don't know if I crossed over the line. Once I got the Gospel of John to the Book of Revelation, I thought, this is so cool looking. I'm gonna flip it around. We're looking through molten hardened glass. Just think about that. Where's the firmament? Well, it's right here for this little area. You know, how far away is the dome above the earth? I don't know. That's kind of on a need-to-know basis. So when I say water exposes the global lie, I'm serious, as well as the Bible. Is the water more important than the Bible? No. It's when I talk about that, here's one of the reasons why I do that, just so you can consider this. There are people that believe the Bible is a fairy tale, and I believe it's the most important information known to mankind. okay? And so I believe that true science confirms the proclamations of Scripture. So when God's Word says this world doesn't move and that the sun and the moon are what move, then that's what I believe is true. Okay? And I can observe that. That makes sense to me. That's what we're looking at. And then there are what will get somebody where I will unfriend somebody. Normally they'll unfriend me if it comes down to this. If they say that I have a loose interpretation or a too literal interpretation of Scripture, I might have to let them go. I might have to, and I'll typically message them. I did it with one of my friends. He still has been following and private messaging me too, because he was curious. He says, "You want me to follow you and you're unfriending me?" I said, "Well, I can't stop you from saying I'm misinterpreting Scripture. If you're a friend, you can comment. So I'll unfriend you and you can follow me if you want. It's not that I don't care. I do care for him, not for me. It doesn't really matter ultimately to me. See, who's going to believe the truth? God's children, ultimately. So if somebody is deceived on the area of the shape of the earth and they've looked into it, I find that very disturbing, because it indicates to me that they don't have a love for the truth. Because I believe that the Bible proclaims, of course, that this world does not move. It says that in a lot of locations, not just one, in many locations. Also that the stars, the sun and the moon move a course above the face of the earth. Not only do they tell us what season it is, they're causing it. Like I said, more moonlight, cooler. So in the summer, when it was, wow, he's grunting along there. I'm gonna flip this down and take us out there. It loses a little something of the value when I don't have the zoom. There it is. That's that building that's a long ways away. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to find that out. I can see some pelicans right over there. Let me show them to you. No, I lost them. Ah, now I can see them. Having a hard time with that one. Don't need to keep on doing it. Right down there is the point in Cherry Grove. That's where I've done a lot of the photography. So that's the Prince Pier, and what I'll do is just zoom in on the end of it. That was zoomed in a full 83 times. So part of there's different dynamics, you know, when it's zoomed out like that, it's 83 times. There'll be, you know, there's different things that go into what I do. I've got a lot of nutrients with me. That can all serve as ballast to hold this so it's nice and stable. This is a carbon fiber ProMaster. If you want to get a really good one, this works great. This is the big deal right here, because that's I can move it like that to adjust for this not being perfectly vertical. This right here is where I'll typically, it's a cooler or a warmer. It's thermally insulated, so when I've got my warm water, it'll keep my camera warm, which works out really good. I don't want to, oh wow, I was recording that. Okay, so what I'll do is have this camera nice and warm so that when it's humid in the summertime, it's not going to fog the lens up, because it's really hard to get photography with the lens. Okay, so I'm gonna show you this and illustrate it. See that right there? That's how I got an eagle to look right at me. I was zoomed in, he was about 1/4 of a mile away, and he snapped his head and saw me. You think that had anything to do with it? That's what I'm talking about, paying attention. There's a lot of things that we can do, and it really makes a difference. That's probably going less than 7 miles an hour. And the water and sand is flying off the tires. So the ridiculous assertion that this world is spinning over 1,038.5 miles an hour, and then in some parts of the world is upside down? No, I don't think so. I don't think any of that would work. How about we do this? Let's see what happens if I, boy, would this work? Would that work? How about this? How about this? Differences in density and mass. How about this? No, I don't reckon any of that'll work. Oh, that's where I can show you the profile. See, I wear it a little heavier right here. The rest of me is just a pretty normal sized guy. If you're concerned, that's cool. I love people to be concerned and to be deliberate. You know, the idea too is when I talk about like the coconut oil, it's an extremely nourishing brain food. It's very calming. We're looking at a humanity that is toxic with personal hygiene products and entertainment for the brain, whether it's mindless, irrelevant television programming or some kind of pharmaceutical interrupting the proper God-given function of the brain. And then to add insult to injury, fluoride in the water, you want that? That's rat poison. Hello, it's a phosphate or an aluminum derivative from the production of pest or fertilizers / aluminum. It's terrible. Why would people? Oh, because it helps their teeth. Got good teeth. Haven't been drinking fluoride or putting it in my body for a long time, and I won't. Not doing it. Not taking the drugs. Don't need them. So a lot of humanity is undernourished and toxic. I'm not too poor to pay attention. I'm not a few digits short of a full equation. I got a lot going on here. The most important thing I got going on is I'm actually born again. That really bugs people that think they are, and it's not looking so good for them. Anger, bitterness, unforgiveness, those are not fruits of the Spirit. You know people like that? How about people that you know are deceived? You know they're deceived. It's not like you believe they're deceived. I know when somebody tells me that we live on a globe spinning 1,000 miles an hour, hurling through space, most of them don't even know all the stuff they're supposed to believe that go with the heliocentric model. They don't even know. They just believe it because scientists said so. I'm not looking for supposed Christian ministries that are telling me that, yeah, we're hurling through space and we're rotating around the sun. We're not rotating around the sun. Let me be clear. We're stationary, and the sun moves a course above the face of the earth, all around. Yeah, pretty interesting, isn't it? Yeah, it's just what it does. So on my photo album, you can see the wind chime hanging right up there. The globe next to it, the clear globe. I want to help people see through the global lie. On that clear globe, looking downward through North America to see Australia, and how absurd it is to imagine people actually still believe that there are boats floating on water and not falling off as they're spinning. We're watching equipment out there with water flying off of tires that are going a few miles an hour. That's why I say we don't have gravity stopping toilet water from flying off people in Australia. That's ridiculous. It's because water seeks its level. Water exposes the global lie. I'm not looking for credit on that one. I've been schooled on that by people that have been talking about water being the clue for a long time. What I realized is that for the past several years, even before I was born again, I started noticing the sun and its peculiar travel where it appeared and vanished on the horizon. It didn't make sense to me. You didn't feel yourself wobbling, spinning, gyrating, did you? I know I didn't. None of that. Because they're the ones that are moving. So I'm going to wrap this up and say, oh, you know what? A couple other things to show you. Okay, so I've got this brand new computer. I got it refurbished from Apple. And one of the reasons that I got it is because this is actually what I use for so much of what I do. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that there's a biometric identifier there. Let's see, am I online? Looks like it. And then I'll just go back home. Let's see if it does that. See, I got a call yesterday from a gentleman in India, wanted me to come there and use my photographic skills to expose the genocide that's happening there right now. And I said, well, I really won't be able to do that right now. I don't have the resources to allow that. However, I would be willing to travel there through the internet. See, it's giving me this prompt right there. Even though up here it looks like I'm connected. What's up with that? So what I'll do is turn it off and then see about turning it back on. Sometimes that gets that done. Okay, apparently it's back up. The firmament is the big deal. This is my new Facebook identifier on my cover photo and profile picture, and on YouTube as well. I want people to really consider that. Oh, there we go. It worked again. Huh, imagine that. So I'm going to go to my YouTube channel right here, right now. There it is. Wow, there I am, right now, live. Oh, this will get weird. There I am, right now, live. Oh, this will get weird. There I am, right now, live. Oh, this will get weird. This will get weird. Okay, that's weird enough. Okay, so I'm pausing that, but it's just kind of like an illustration of some of the dynamics going on. So even now, yeah, I don't want to do that. I've got to think about what I'm actually doing here. Okay, I'm going to go to my channel all over again, like I do quite a bit, and then I'm going to go to my playlists. Okay, so right up here, I click on playlists, and then we're going to see a bunch of different videos that are available for people to look at. And then on this format, I'll click on that, and then there's more and more there. So on my liked videos right here, I'm going to go
to these things, okay, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. Chapter 17. After Jesus said this, he looked toward heaven and prayed, Father, the time has come.
Yeah, that's John 17 right there. And so right over here where my cursor is, that's where the sun was coming up earlier this summer when I did this, and now it's coming up way over here. So what I'll do is simply show you there we step back in time a little bit according to this, and then I'm going to go to the Relaxing 24/7 music channel. This is by Lounge V. So let's make it bigger. So one of the other things that I can do, and I'll do that right now, because it's, well, that wasn't part of the plan. This was here. So I can use a battery like that with a windshield holder, telephone holder here. one of the reasons why I wanted to do that, and I've featured some of these other videos, is simply because they did a spectacular job with high definition cameras and a big budget to take them places. Nature Relaxation is the name of the channel, and they have very little.
What you may not have known, what you may not have realized, is that you're only as young as your blood vessels are flexible, which is one of the real reasons why people have low energy or high energy.
Okay, that's you.
Okay, I got plenty of high energy, and now I got a bunch of commercials to look at again, but I'm going to get rid of them real quick. So what we're looking at here is a water source that's higher than the ocean, quite a bit higher. How does it get there? Well, that's pretty amazing, but it's just part of how it works. And part of how it works is we'll have snow and rain fall in the mountains, and then they'll cause the water to run down a hill like that. So like I'm not commissioned by any of these advertisers. I don't advertise on my videos. They do that for me. I'd like to have them stop it. I really, and one of the other dynamics is that they're actually sometimes putting ads by organizations I'm diametrically opposed to when they advertise fake space and all that stuff. Look at that. Yeah, the rainbow firmament could very well be, makes sense to me. Now, see, this all looks very real to me. And then when they transition to the Earth view from supposed space, it looks very fake. It looks synthetic, not real. This looks real. That would be very hard to make that synthetically. I don't know how they would do it, but it looks real to me. I'm going to go with it. I've seen it like that in different places, you know. Look how pretty that is. And see, I can't travel there. You know, some people, wow, look at that. Wow. So the water exposes the global lie. Does that sound a little different now when you see it like that? Right now, I've got one of these streams playing for the kiddies at home. All the kiddies are watching it. They like it, as best I can tell. Let's see. So on my liked videos, I've got just such a treasure trove of video. Now this one here, I'm gonna put this one up. I filmed it recorded it right from the balcony out here a little while ago. Oh, you're welcome. Hear the dump truck and the backup beepers and the ocean. It's all right there. And I don't really know how to explain what we're looking at. So one of the reasons why I wanted to show you this is simply because you can do this too if you want with somebody else's feed, if you care to. This is the Northern Lights from, I believe, the North Pole. So it's really pretty music, ethereal, just very elegant. The Gospel of John, my favorite movie there. Even that looks a lot different to me now. Let's see, where are we with that?
He found Philip.
So in the beginning here of the Gospel of John, check this out. See if it looks a little different to you now.
In the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. From the very beginning, the Word was with God. Through him, God made all things. Not one thing in all creation was made without him. The Word was the source of life, and this life brought light to people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has never put it out. God sent his messenger, a man.
So on this one, look at that, perfect timing. There we've got the horizon again. Now the view that they're able to do, let me back up a little bit. The view that they're able to capture is so big on this. It's amazing to me. This isn't the real scene of it. That's a bit smaller view. But when I notice the like when they go out here now, look at how big that view is. So the creation actually exposes the global lie, all of it. And if I were to just simply say, you know, creation exposes the global lie, a lot of people might have a problem with that because they're still thinking we're a cosmic, godless Big Bang. What I would simply say is the water exposes the global lie. Evolution and the godless cosmic Big Bang all collapses under the weight of the reality that we really live in. And the theoretical physicists that meander off into explanations and theories and formulas that don't reflect reality, I don't have the appetite for that anymore. None at all. I'm not apologizing for not believing the global lie. And you know what? What I'm finding out is there are, let's see if I can put this for a closing shot. I want to kind of set this up for that. There are people that, you know, will get really kind of upset that I am not buying into the global lie. They'll give me different creation ministries, creation.com, and Kent Hovind, that say we're distracted and it's not an important issue. We didn't come from monkeys. We still got the monkeys. They lied about the monkeys. They lied about going to the moon. They lie about us spinning over 1,000 miles an hour. The water, undisturbed water, is flat and level. And that's that. Water seeks its level all over the face of the earth. Thanks so much for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing. And for an eternal perspective, as always, I encourage people to hear, share, and of course, most importantly, obey God's Word. Bible.com. It's humanly impossible to do that. Can't be done. Because the Holy Spirit needs to be resident in the child of God for that to happen. Thank you so much. For an eternal perspective, hear, share, and of course, obey God's Word. Bible.com, Bible.is.